Hi everybody and welcome to the third of our looks at the Wave 15 attack wing ships. So this is the last one of the three we've got. Wave 16 is shortly going to be with us, so we'll have three new ships to look at, not in the too distant future. So as we've already looked at the IKS Ningtao and the USS Prometheus, the last ship we need to look at is this one. It's the Bajoran Scout Ship called the Ratosha. So they've already actually had this one out under the name of the Akorum, which was, I believe, an OP prize going back a while on the attack wing scheme. So here we have, to be honest, it's one of the only three Bajoran ships that you're going to be able to get at the moment. So your fleet is going to be somewhat limited. So you may have the option of having a couple of these scout ships and one of the interceptors, which is a 16-point ship. But let's look at the model itself. So detail-wise, it's pretty decent. I'm not a great fan of the colour. I think it should have been a bit darker and a bit greyer. Again, if this is based on the model rather than the screen finish, I do know that what they used to do was paint the ship a lot more colourfully than you would see on the screen, and then tone it down completely in the editing process, so you wouldn't see all of the colour schemes that you would get here. So this might actually be accurate to the model. We'll probably know a bit more if this comes out as an Eagle Moss model as part of the Starships collection. Anyway, with this ship, it's pretty decent. The detail's pretty good. The paint scheme is fairly clean. There's no bleed on any of the colours. So I'm pretty impressed, and everything seems to be pretty level, as we can see. So overall, not a bad little ship. Not one of my favourites, and to be honest, I'm not a big fan of the Bajoran ships, and this is my first one that I've got as part of my attack wing series. Okay, so let's just pop her over to the side. There we go. Let's just make sure you can see her as well, which is always a good thing. So what we're looking at first is the ship itself. So as we said, it's the Ratosha. And what a lovely ship she is. She has a attack of 2, a defense of 2, a hull of 3, and a shield of 2. And as you can see, we've got there a score of 18 on your hull. So there's a lot of potential if you're looking at playing this as a 40-point ship, or as within an average of a 40-point ship fleet. The challenge with this is that you've only got 2 attack dice, 2 defense to begin with, plus you've only got a maximum number of hits that you're going to take is going to be 5 if you're using it as the base vessel. Plus, you're only getting 2 upgrade slots, and both of these are crew, so you have no tech and no weapons options. In fact, there aren't any tech or weapons options within the pack, as you would assume. So let's just pop her to the side. The movement options that you get with this one are also fairly limited. Nice thing you do get, it has got a 4 forward, no red manoeuvres, green on the 1 and 2 moves, plus you do have 1 and 2 the ability to do those 90-degree turns, plus at 2 you do have the ability to do a full about, and it doesn't mean you're using any auxiliary power tokens with this ship when it comes to movement. So agility-wise, it's great in the fact that you won't need to worry about losing an action the following round, but movement-wise, you are pretty limited to going a little bit forward. And if this goes up against anything fairly big, I don't see you standing much of a chance. It's probably quite good to send out as an initial sort of frontline ship to test the waters, but I wouldn't want to use it for your main attack, especially if you're playing as a Bajorans. What you do lose, if you choose to use this as the generic starship, Bajoran Scout Ship, is you just lose 1 off your shields, but you also do lose 1 off your upgrades as well, so it goes down to 1 crew upgrade for your options. So let's just take those out of the way. You do also come with a command option of 4 captains. So there is the initial generic Bajoran, there he is, looking pretty generic for us. As usual, he's got the naught score, so if you do need a captain who has got a naught score and prefer to look at your upgrades, then he's a good option to go for. Going up, we do have initially Jaro Essa. So Jaro was the Bajoran minister in the Circle trilogy, so Homecoming, the Circle and the Siege from Season 2 of Deep Space Nine, which the Ratosha itself is from. So Jaro, being the duplicitous character he is, means that you can discard 1 of your crew upgrades. Remember, you've only got 2 to begin with. And each time you defend, you roll an extra 2 defense dice. He does have the elite option on here, and there is 1 elite attack that you can do. Sorry, 2 elite with this ship that you can perform. Jaro does also come with the option of being your admiral. So he gives you a +1 on your captain skill, and again he costs a 1 on your team. It's exactly the same action that you would perform if you was captain, but it means you can perform it on any ship within your fleet according to the rules based on the admiral statistic. Your second option is Dekannock, who was one of the soldiers in the siege. So when you're attacking with your primary weapon, you can set one of your dice to the result that you choose, but you do end up using an auxiliary power token. So even though we've not got any auxiliary power on the movement, there are some of these actions which are going to lead you to lose a bit of your options later on in the game. He's priced there as a 3 with a captain skill of 4, so he's pretty midstream, as all the 3 major captains with this ship are. And your final option is General Krim, who is the commanding officer of the team that went to Deep Space Nine in the siege. He gives you the option to actually add an extra crew upgrade. So going from your 2 to your 3, which does mean you get to play around a little bit more with the options within the pack. And when you're defending, you can modify and re-roll one of your defense dice for every damage card assigned to your ship. So if you are damaged, as you are likely to be with the Ratosha, then you can at least get the option to have a bit more defense dependent on how many you've got. If you look at it, your hull is only a maximum of 5, so you've not got that much to play with, so you are going to be taking damage quite quickly. Let's just pop her onto the stand as well. So as you'll see from the stand, the usual 4 options are available. So you've got your evade, you have your target lock, you have scan, and battle stations, which are the standard 4 options for pretty much any of the Federation and Allied ships. Stand, pop that in there. As we can see, you've got your stats on there as well, and pointing to the front, we do have the forward attacking arc, but with this one you'll note as well there is no rearward firing arc on the Ratosha, so it is a little bit limited on your attacking options, but since you can only turn around, you may not require these anyway. Captain option we're going to pop in again will be General Krim, so we'll just pop Krim onto the stand. There we go, there's one, and Krim in at the back there as well, so we'll just pop him to the side. And there's the Ratosha. So, as we've said, the options of this one are a little bit limited, if I'm honest. They don't come with a great one, but you do get 2 elite options to choose from. One is certainly more expensive than the other one. The cheap one is this more than meets the eye, which means you can place an additional scan token by your ship, even if you've already got one placed there. So that would end up with probably 2, maybe even 3, depending on what cards you're using with this ship. You can't perform the scan option as part of the round, but it does mean that any ship that you attack during the round does roll 1 less defense dice. So there is a benefit to this one. It means that you've got a little bit more attack. Remember, with your attack, you have only got 2 attack dice to start with. The second of your elite options that we've got here is the Provisional Government. So you can discard this card, as you do with more than meets the eye. I think that sounds a bit more like a Transformers piece than something from Star Trek. You can discard the Provisional Government card to target any ship at range 1 to 3, and that ship can't attack you, and you can't attack that ship. Bit of a saving grace there, particularly if you're going to start combining it with General Krim, and it means you might get a bit more action out of this Bajoran ship. It has got a whacking cost of 5 for this elite action, and I think it's probably the better one to use. It's going to give you a little bit more life in the ship, but then I'm not sure if you'll be using the Bajoran faction as your main force, as there are a lot of other options which do offer much better ships and power-ups. Moving on, the upgrade for the crew, believe it or not, is the same upgrade. In fact, you get 3 of them. You get Bajoran Militia, Bajoran Militia, and Bajoran Militia. There you go. So there are 3 of these which you can place on the ship. If you're using the General Krim card, you'll be able to use all 3, potentially. And what you've got with this, it means that you can add a number of attack dice equal to the number of Bajoran Militia upgrades assigned to your ship until the end phase. So when you're firing, you could effectively, and this is just in theory, you could effectively roll 5 attack dice. You could effectively roll 3 attack dice additionally to the 2 that you already have with the ship, which will give you that 5. As it says there, add the number of attack dice equal to the number of Bajoran military upgrades. So you have 3, so you could effectively turn this into quite a big powerhouse with a 5 dice attacking ability during the game. The other option that you've got, if you have got that General Crim card, or if you've just got any of the cards, is that you could use the Assault Vessel upgrade. The benefit of this means that that once you've got this equipped, it does cost you 4 squadron points. It does mean that you can add an extra point to your primary weapon, so it goes up to a 3, and you also mean you get to add an extra shield point on to actually get that up to 3 as well. So what you could technically do is that you could power up Crim, add a couple of your crew upgrades, and then add this as a third option, which would mean that you would have 5 attack dice and 3 defensive. So you're not necessarily wanting to use all of those 3 crew options with this ship. The final piece that we have with the Ratosha is the mission itself, and this is called The Siege, surprisingly, because it's based on the episode that the ship was part of. So it's a 4-sided playing game, 2 players, 50 squadron points, including 1 Federation ship with a hull value of 3 or less, and then 90 squadron points for your Bajoran player, including at least 1 Bajoran Scout ship. All ships in the Bajoran fleet must have a hull value of 3 or less and have a Bajoran captain assigned to them. Of course, if you've got the Defiant, you could always use Kira as one of your captains, which would give you certainly some more benefits there. So the idea of this game is to dock at the space station and then evacuate if you are the Federation player, or take over the station if you are the Bajoran player. So that is effectively the whole of the game. Overall, this is probably the weakest one of the 3 ships which has been released for Wave 15. It's a shame that we've got no other Bajoran options, but it is going to be one of the smaller fleets. Particularly, it will go alongside the Ferengi, who we are due to get 2 releases in the next couple of months with Quark's Treasure, and also with the Marauder Creature, which is part of Wave 16. So overall, it's an okay model, but certainly not one that I would choose to take out ahead of the Klingon or the Federation ships that we've picked already during Wave 15. So hopefully you'll be able to join us again for the next 3 ships of Wave 16. If you've enjoyed the video, please give us a thumbs up. If you've not, don't give us a thumbs up. Otherwise, you can drop by the links that have been joining this video to www.skost, so that's scost.co.uk, where you'll be able to find out a lot more about the ships and any of the Trek news that we've been covering in the last few weeks.
Transfer complete.